Indignation, divided arguments loud. Outrage over strategy, noise over truth. Time to cut through the chaos. Lines are drawn, the crowd ignites. Everyone fighting over who is right. But the Constitution is calling out. Enough of the rage, enough of the doubt. From DC storms to Carolina nights, we rise or fall by how we fight. Not by the loudest purity test, but by defending what works best. We lost the message, lost the frame, pointing fingers, assigning blame. But liberty is more than a slogan. It is action, choice, and motion. Stand up, go right, hit hard in the face. Lies, stay sharp, stay free. This is where the truth is supposed to be. Turn up, hold tight. Welcome to Go Right with Peter Boykin. Where we the people still decide and the Constitution stays alive.
When loyalty becomes selective, does the GOP still stand for anything? Welcome to #GoRight with Peter Boykin. I am your host, Peter Boykin, and I want you to check out the full article on GoRightNews.com titled "When Extremism Eats Its Own, From the United States to North Carolina, Are Republicans Forgetting How to Win?" Please share this. Now let's get straight into it. Because, folks, that's the question hiding underneath every argument. Every purity test, every social media pylon, and every internal fight we keep having. Let us be honest with ourselves. This is not about one tweet. It is not about one candidate. It is not even about one election cycle. This is about whether the Republican Party still understands how to win and govern in a constitutional republic, or whether we have decided that ideological performance matters more than results. We keep telling ourselves we are fighting the left, but too often we are really just fighting each other. We tear down anyone who does not perfectly mirror our personal priorities. We call it principle. We call it courage. But most of the time, it is just insecurity dressed up as righteousness. Look at how selectively outrage is applied. Trump makes a poorly judged comment after a tragedy, and suddenly we're told that this one moment defines everything. Yet for years, the Democrats and the media normalized calling Donald Trump supporters fascists, maggots, traitors, deplorables, garbage, and enemies of democracy. That rhetoric did real damage. It fueled anger. It justified censorship. And it made violence feel acceptable to people who thought they were morally superior. Donald Trump was not wrong to point out that excessive hatred, what people call TDS. When everything becomes an emergency and every disagreement becomes evil, people lose judgment. But here's the part some do not want to admit. Extremism on the right is just as destructive when we excuse it or cheer it on. North Carolina's lived that lesson. We nominated candidates who spoke recklessly about violence. We pretended it was strength. It was not. It was political malpractice. At the same time, we kept a party platform that treats same-sex marriage and other civil rights, but same-sex marriage in this case, as negotiable. even though it is unconstitutional to overturn. Then we act shocked when voters see hypocrisy instead of principle. You cannot claim to oppose identity politics while practicing it selectively. You cannot say the Constitution matters while ignoring settled constitutional law. And you cannot demand unity while pushing entire parts of your own coalition out the door. MAGA used to be a big tent. Doesn't seem that much anymore. Now, this is where the conversation about Michael Whatley exposes something uncomfortable. The anger toward him is not really about competence. It is not about effectiveness. It is about resentment. He did not support Mark Robinson. He did not play cultural war theater. He sided on Tom Tillis on equal rights. And for some people, that was unforgivable. Supporting civil rights is not social liberalism, people. Being gay or defending gay Americans or just civil rights in general, folks, is not a political ideology. Equal treatment under the law is a core Republican principle rooted in individual liberty and limited government. When we pretend otherwise, we are not defending conservatism. We are redefining it into something smaller and meaner. People who conveniently forget what Trump actually ran on. In 2020, many openly acknowledged that Donald Trump governed with what they called a New York state of mind. That meant he was not obsessed with evangelical cultural wars. He was broadly fine with gay rights. And that understanding is exactly why Gays for Trump exists and still exists. Back then, people said other issues mattered more. The border mattered. Immigration mattered. Jobs mattered. Trade mattered. Free speech mattered. National sovereignty mattered. But then COVID happened. I can talk about it now. Lockdowns happened. Censorship happened. Government overreach exploded. The First Amendment was treated like an inconvenience. People were told where they could go, what they could say, and whether they could work. Questions about election integrity were shut down instead of debated. People were jailed. And instead of staying focused on those abuses of power, the Republicans fractured and lost the plot. They fractured so bad, fighting over simple things that have nothing to do with anybody, while the Democrats just sit there and take notes and laugh. Even Donald Trump saw that happening. He made a comment about transgender athletes that got a standing ovation. And instead of soaking that in, he pointed out something uncomfortable. He said he wished people were that passionate about immigration. He noticed no one was that loud about the border anymore. I was there. It was the North Carolina State Convention a couple of years ago, and a dinner for Donald Trump. After a very rough re-election for Michael Whatley due to their election system, I sat down. I didn't clap for that, even though I'm not so keen about transgender athletes. The point is, standing ovations for that, but yet, where's that enthusiasm about issues that actually matter? And that's a warning. But too many ignored it. I mean, they were laughing. They paid no attention to what Donald Trump just called them out on. Evangelical activism rushed back into the driver's seat. And I'm going to stop there, folks, because I talk about evangelical doesn't mean I'm not a Christian. It doesn't mean I don't believe in God. It doesn't mean that I don't have faith. It doesn't mean I'm a demon or anything. I have faith. I'm a Christian. But I'm not an evangelical extremist. And we do have a lot of people like that. But you have the right to your freedom of religion. You have your right to your freedom of belief, as other people have the rights as well. And people need to recognize that. Movements that were about limited government became about moral enforcement. Student organizations that once encouraged civic participation became ideological gatekeepers. And labels like anti-woke and anti-DEI became weapons instead of arguments. The problem is those terms are so vague. They mean different things to different people. But once adopted, they became tests. Question them and you're called a rhino. Talk unity and you're a liberal. Defend equal rights and you're accused of betrayal. I know that. I get called all sorts of names in the book. And lately I get more calls, nasty things from the right that's supposed to be on my side than I'm getting from the left. That's pretty bad. That's not conservatism, people. Liberty does not require conformity. A free society requires restraint, humility, and respect for individual rights. And then there's the selective Trump endorsement problem. When Donald Trump endorses Phil Berger, or whatever you call his name, over Sam Page, his endorsement is treated as sacred. Debate must end. Unity is demanded. Trump's judgment is absolute. But when Donald Trump endorsed Michael Whatley, who's already ran our North Carolina GOP, who already was picked by Donald Trump to run the national Republican Party, and then when Donald Trump has now endorsed Michael Whatley to run for Senate, suddenly that endorsement became optional. So many ignored it, or explained it away, or minimalized it. There's so many people out there that claim unwavering loyalty to Donald Trump while they dismiss his choices whenever they do not align with your personal standards. I mean, I can understand that in a degree. But you say you care about Donald Trump and his principles, but do you follow them? That's not principle. That's opportunism. Trump is either your leader or he is a convenient tool. I don't believe you can have it both ways. Some people try to eat the cake and have it too. Trump did not build his movement on blind conformity. Don't get me wrong. He did not build that movement on blind conformity. We have no problem expressing, hey, Donald Trump, you might have got that wrong. I always bring it up, the Ronald Reagan 80-20. 80% my friend and 20% my foe does not make you my enemy. Donald Trump built this by challenging elites, not creating new ones inside the party. And here's the hard truth. Purity tests do not win elections. Outrage does not govern. Coalitions win elections. Discipline governs. And Michael Whatley has helped build infrastructure, raise money, organize ground operations, and win races. That work's not flashy, but it is how principles turn into power. Talking about power, big donors, they love the chaos. Conflict raises money. Division keeps the base emotional and distracted. Meanwhile, real issues get ignored. Jobs, safety, free speech, economic stability, national security, and equal treatment under the law. I might not have thousands of viewers on my videos. I don't put the money to advertise in it. I don't buy fake views. I don't talk about sensationalist, distracting events, except for maybe people in my own group that might not like what I say. I don't try to play on it because I'm not here for the views. I'm here to inform you. But you know what? The issues that do decide elections are those issues. The jobs, the safety, the free speech, the economic stability, the national security, the equal treatment under the law. That's what decides elections, whether social media likes it or not. Things that I talk about. So the question remains, do Republicans want to win elections and govern in a constitutional republic? Or do we want to keep fighting amongst ourselves while the other side consolidates power. Trump never built his movement around moral purity. He built it around sovereignty, strength, and resistance to elite control. And when we replace liberty with litmus tests, we weaken the republic we claim to defend. The Constitution does not belong to factions. It does not belong to donors. It does not belong to the outrage merchants. It belongs to us, we the people. And any party that forgets that will eventually consume itself. Folks, if you want daily commentary grounded in liberty, justice, and constitutional values, I want you to visit GoRightNews.com. I need you to subscribe at rumble.com, Go Right News, and look for Go Right with Peter Boykin's podcast on YouTube. They're letting me talk finally for now. You can listen and subscribe on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Truth Social, X, Parler, Facebook, Gab, TikTok, and other sites as well. You can follow hashtag Go Right with Peter Boykin on Spreaker, on Spotify, on Apple, on Amazon, on Facebook, on X, Twitter, and every other major platform. And if you can support the platform. If you support independent media that holds power accountable, consider a donation for Go Right News at the Cash App $ Go Right News. Help us stay fiercely independent. Thank you very much, folks. And remember, share this, let other people go, and remember to go right. And enjoy the Go Right music that I create for these podcasts. God bless everybody. Peace.
Lit the match and called it truth. Burned the map and blamed the youth. Every voice a loyalty test, every doubt a scarlet letter pressed. We stopped asking how to win, started asking who to throw out next. Built our walls inside our house, called division righteousness. We traded plans for purity and facts for flags we waved. Forgot the fight was liberty, not which side screams the loudest rage. What happens when outrage replaces strategy? When purity tests kill the Constitution piece by piece. We shout our strength but bleed our ground, turn brother into enemy. If this is what loyalty means now, who are we fighting for and who are we supposed to be? Once we stood for law and limits, power checked by we the people. Now every issue is a weapon, every crowd a judgment steeple. Pick your side or lose your name, question once and face the flame. Endorsements count when we agree, ignored when truth cuts differently. We called it courage, called it war, but never asked the cost. You do not save a republic by deciding who gets lost. What happens when outrage replaces strategy? When purity tests kill the Constitution piece by piece. We shout our strength but bleed our ground, turn brother into enemy. If this is what loyalty means now, who are we fighting for and who are we supposed to be? The founders warned us plain and clear, faction fear would rot the spine. Liberty dies when power speaks and silence answers every line. Not left, not right, not holy rage, but limits written in the page. If we forget why freedom stands, we hand it over by demand. This was never about perfection. It was always about restraint. You do not win by self-destruction. You do not cleanse a nation this way. What happens when outrage